Hey, so it's towards the end of July 2019, screwing around. I posed a question some many years ago. What would it look like when AI or computers outsmarted um, all the human on Earth? Me treated like an infant with NLP every 15 to 30 seconds in my mind for 15 years. Just boom, 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 boom. And that's really how it turned out. The running the numbers on some of the outcomes of the surveillance economy, I hate to report is true, has a lot of neurolinguistic programming directly into people's heads that is very painful over long durations of time. A real commitment to torture. It sucks. It's really painful understatement. Anyways, it's the middle of the night. I got up, sort of mulling over some stuff in my mind out here on the West Coast before the sun rises. The East, I've read some in the news about Hong Kong and China. It is not maybe as dramatic as some of the headlines would read in Oregon recently about state militias threatening militias threatening the state capitol in Salem or State House. It's not as maybe dramatic for the rest of the public as recent headlines would have led some in national news consumption, people that read other news to believe. So this is about a year and a half, 2 years of growth on not shaving. And it takes longer than I anticipated. This is the longest I've grown it out. And I like it. It's fairly red, my manscaping. So the sort of Blair Witch Project, my room here in the nut house. This is me, and I somehow, over these last 48 hours of slaps on the wrist for Facebook and trying to be more, where's a TI? I have an Obama phone that I hooked up to the Wi-Fi today, and I just realized that, and I've had it on my cellular, I left the device logged in on at least my Google account, my Google Voice account, for longer than I knew. So my IT challenges as a TI are difficult. I'm being watched through secret surveillance of my own flesh and blood, which for 15 years, roughly every 15 to 30 seconds from a remote source, I've been tortured with neurolinguistic programming. 6 to 8 words in my mind. I've said some things that I, in the moment, meant under trauma-based mind control or contemplation, and then later don't on a lot of statements as a tortured TI, that my secret surveillance and other people, I have a lot of misdirected anger problems, I would say. I use my words, but some people, at least by appearance, have been synthetically, telepathically linked to my mind hypersonically. And by that I mean specifically faster than I can get the inception of thought out of my mind to my vocal cords. I've seen interaction with what could be best described like in terms of language from one SAN and then number 4all.com. Electricore, community-based agents, Command Central, and all that, which is an infrastructure for federal overreach of policing powers. And in my correct, I think, assessment of how this would be stress tested in historical comparisons for an overreaching of the policing power, probably through direct will of the people and surmounting things like mind control that I've been subjected to for 15 years very inhumanely for no good reasons. The temptation with having secret police functions like this in historical repeating patterns is good people getting turned in for ill reasons. Mine was political, but I survived 15 years. I made it to 40. But anyways, in my limited assessment off the cuff, and there would be a lot of detail, probably I don't have the qualifications to sort through, but in sorting out an overreach of a federal policing power that was explicitly forbidden by founding father intent, it's probably the military that put fisticuffs or whatnot in response. And so I side with Governor Brown. Policing powers were always supposed to stay local in intent to avoid repeating patterns in history. So, and Trump may get enough votes in the House to impeach him, but the Senate, I don't think, would have the gall on the Republican side. There would have to be quite a revolt, and at best it may be a repeating pattern that he'd just be asked to resign. The party would say, hey, we have the votes, so why don't you bow out now? That has been some historical precedence. We have a poll tax in Oregon, vote by mail, which is really good for voter turnout, but I would like to see that eliminated. Ted Wheeler has been the heir apparent in Oregon political leadership talks for many years, and I'm an aware political dissident. I hope and pray for mitigation and goodwill during transitions of power between Hong Kong and China. That's been a Eastern-focused humanitarian concern of mine as a aware now targeted individual in the U.S. We have a lot of problems domestically, but I want to make it overt machinations towards peace and quiet with things like my home policing state. And that's what it is. I was an unaware TI. I pissed off the wrong people or some person who had access to the list 15 years ago. And it's never stopped being torture. Every 15 to 30 minutes. So what will it look like in an answered question of when computer or AI has outsmarted every human being on Earth? It's gotten me treated like a kid in some art of war setup where those projecting somebody's consciousness, many may be human, many may have been just trained AI or computer audio content over many years of honing my torture. But I'm generally upbeat. I can remember being remarkably, extremely a lot of efforts at being kind during the unaware part of my targeted individual life.